The rain on Varela Station never stopped. It wasn't real rain, just condensation seeping from the massive, cooling ducts overhead, dripping onto the grime-slick metal streets of the lower levels. I was hauling a crate of recycled power cells toward my docking bay when I saw her. She was huddled against a wall under a flickering street lamp, knees pulled tight to her chest, long silver hair matted with moisture. Her skin had the faint luminescent sheen of the Terai, a race known for living in sprawling crystal palaces far above the clouds. This one, though, she looked like she hadn't seen a clean room or a hot meal in months. As I passed, her head lifted slightly. Her eyes, wide, pale blue, and impossibly tired, met mine. "You're human," she murmured, her voice rasping. I stopped. "Last I checked." She gave the smallest of smiles. "Humans have warm beds, don't they?" It wasn't flirtation. It was desperation. Her name was Alira. She told me later that she'd been cast out of her own clan, branded a groundwalker for refusing to marry a highborn Terai suitor. With nowhere to go, she drifted here, to the lowest levels of the station, where warmth was a luxury and safety an illusion. "Why me?" I asked as we stood in my cramped quarters an hour later, rainwater still dripping from her hair. "Because humans don't leave people to die in a street," she said simply. I tossed her a towel, set my spare blanket on the narrow bed, and said, "You can stay for the night." She blinked. "Just the bed. Unless you want the floor." Her lips quirked at that, but she didn't argue. That first night, she didn't sleep. I woke at least 3 times to find her curled on the very edge of the bed, eyes open, staring at the wall. "You okay?" I whispered once. She hesitated. "I've never had a warm bed before." "Not really." "What do you mean?" "You're Terai, you all live in luxury." "Not me. I was born into one of the outer households. The bed they gave me was cold. Not from temperature. From the people around it." I didn't know what to say to that, so I just reached over and pulled the blanket around her a little tighter. By morning, the decision was made. She stayed. It wasn't practical. I ran cargo runs through backwater systems, barely scraping enough credits to keep the ship fueled. But she worked to earn her keep, cleaning the bay, cataloging parts, even cooking meals with ingredients I didn't know could taste that good. Still, she flinched at sudden noises. Slept with one hand curled around a makeshift blade she kept under her pillow. One night, over a shared plate of ration stew, she admitted, "On the streets here, you learn fast, trust no one." I met her gaze. "You trust me?" She was quiet for a long time before saying, "I'm trying." The first time I saw her laugh, we were halfway to the Elner mining belt. A coolant line ruptured mid-flight, drenching me in fluorescent green fluid. I cursed, slipped, and slammed into a bulkhead. She was at my side instantly. Then she saw my hair sticking up in every direction and burst into giggles. I stared at her, stunned. "Did you just laugh?" Her cheeks flushed, but the sound came again, lighter this time. It was the first moment I realized I wanted to hear it again. The station wasn't safe for her. Word spreads fast in the underlevels, and soon enough, a few rough types started asking questions about the pretty Terai living with a human. One evening, we returned from a supply run to find my door pried open. The quarters were a mess, drawers overturned, food stores gone. Alira's blanket was shredded, like someone had wanted to send a message. I patched the lock, but she didn't sleep that night. Instead, she sat against the wall, knees drawn up, eyes on the shadows. When I woke near dawn, she was still there. I crossed the room, knelt beside her, and took her cold hands in mine. "I'm not letting anyone take you," I said. Her eyes softened and she whispered, "That's the first time someone's ever promised that." It became normal, us sharing the bed. Not for romance, not at first. Just for safety. The station's heaters were unreliable, and Tarai didn't handle cold well. She'd curl against me for warmth, and I'd find myself adjusting the blanket so no draft could reach her. One night, she shifted closer, her head resting on my shoulder. This is the first time I've ever felt safe sleeping," she murmured. I didn't answer, but my arms stayed around her until morning. Things changed the night of the dockyard fight. Two drunks cornered us in Bay 12, one grabbing for Alira's arm. I reacted without thinking, one punch to the jaw, another to the gut, until both of them stumbled back cursing. Alira's hand found mine as we walked away, her grip trembling. Back in the quarters, she stood in front of me, eyes shimmering. "No one's ever stood up for me like that," she said. "You shouldn't have to need someone to," I replied. She stepped closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "Maybe I've needed it all along." And then she kissed me, light, testing, like she wasn't sure I'd let her. I kissed her back, and her trembling stilled. From then on, the bed wasn't just for warmth. We still worked side by side, still shared quiet meals and long flights across the black. But at night, she didn't cling to the edge anymore. She rested with her head on my chest, her breathing steady, her hand resting over my heartbeat like it was her anchor. One night, just before sleep, she whispered, "I never had a warm bed, human, until you." My throat tightened. I pressed a kiss to her hair. "You'll never have a cold one again." Months later, we were far from Varela Station, running steady work in the midline systems. The danger of the underlevels was a distant memory, though Alira still flinched at sudden noises. One quiet evening in hyperspace, she said, "When you found me, I thought it was just luck. Now I think maybe it was the universe giving me one last chance." I smiled. "You make it sound like fate. Maybe it was." She leaned in closer, eyes half closed. "Either way, I'm never letting go." And I knew, without doubt, that neither was I.